timeline approval for you to get an idea of a recent partner visa case that we've handled that was approved, so you can compare your facts to this couple and get a feel for an understanding of how long an application might take if you were to submit it with the government, understanding an authentic processing time frame in terms of how long this case took versus what you might see on the department website, which gives you quite large and broad ranges. This is a real life case study for you to have a look at how long this case took. Not necessarily as an indicator of how long your case will take, because we just can't tell, we can't know, but at least this gives you some accurate, objective, and up-to-date information on how long cases might actually be taking. So let's work backwards. This was a subclass 820, so an onshore partner visa that was granted. The applicant held a passport from Malaysia, but obviously onshore at the time of application. The total processing time with the government was 13 months, but there's a reason for that. And it was approved on the 26th of November. Okay, so approved on the 26th of November, 2022, applied in October, late October, 2021. From lodgement until decision, this application received 3 RFIs, so 3 requests for information, which definitely contributed to the time it took to finalize. In simple terms, if your application is decision ready, it can be finalized after the initial RFI, or you might not get an RFI at all. RFI meaning request for information. Generally speaking, if we're handling cases, or if you speak to others that might have self-prepared their own applications, if they've organized their evidence well, their relationship evidence well, generally the things that we requested by the government are police clearances for an applicant or sponsor that might be missing or might have expired, and medicals, for an applicant or applicants. That's typically what we see in terms of RFIs for our clients. In this case, this application received 3 RFIs, which tells me there was complications in getting certain documents, which led to multiple requests being received by the government. This is an indicator that your application may receive multiple RFIs. That isn't uncommon. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Application lodged October 2021. Now let's work backwards. Let's have a look at their relationship history, their milestones prior to lodgement. So met online in June 2020. Met June 2020, applied October 2021. Met in person a couple of weeks later. So met in person in July 2020. Started dating exclusively not long after. So a couple of weeks later, the exclusive relationship commenced. Okay, so dating in July 2020. Started living together right there and then, basically. So they committed to each other and they moved in together. Often that might be an applicant moving in with a sponsor. Maybe the sponsor already has a place, or vice versa. Doesn't necessarily mean they got a joint lease right at that moment or had their own place, just the 2 of them at that moment. Which, if we continue through this timeline, you'll see that was the case. So I started living together in July 2020. Introduced to the sponsor's family in August 2020, so moved in, let the family know. Then opened up joint accounts in March 2021, okay? And then they eventually got their joint lease, so got their own place in June 2021. So they'd lived together prior to that, very likely with other people, friends, family potentially, and then they got their own place, their own joint lease in June 2021. They engaged our services for full representation in October 2021, so not long after moving in. And then from there, we prepared the application, of course. The couple were able to organize their wills. They registered their relationship as a civil union in February 22, and then they fell pregnant, aware of a pregnancy of the relationship in May 2022, and then an application submitted for the partner visa, 6 months later. The couple then married after lodgement. So that's just want to clarify, that's what that timeline's showing, is that they married after the visa was applied for. So at the time of application, they were in a de facto relationship with a civil union, and then they married post-lodgement. So this couple's facts summarized is that they met approximately 6 months prior to submitting. They started dating exclusively, similarly, around 6 months prior to submitting. They were cohabitating for about 6 months prior. They started pooling their finances, i.e. joint accounts, for about 7 months. They arranged their wills about 7 months prior to lodgement, and they got married 2 months after lodgement. Okay, so it's an indicator that you can marry post-lodgement as long as you still meet de facto requirements at the time of application. There's a typo in that timeline. It should say de facto or civil union at the time of application. Okay, so at the time of application, this couple were not married yet. They were in a de facto relationship, and then they married after lodgement. So at the time of application, they were de facto. At the time of decision, they were married. Okay, so it shows you that relationships can evolve. Post lodgement, you can strengthen facts. You would continue to evidence the relationship. We would have attached the marriage certificate to the application post lodgement to prove the couple were then married, which might have contributed to the eventual approval of this application. So this application took 13 months from when it was submitted, but the relationship commenced, well before that. So this is another example of an application that was recently granted. You can have a look at their history, their milestones, compare to yours, have a look at what you might be able to do to try to line up perhaps your facts with theirs, understand that this couple were able to organize certain documents and facts prior to lodgement, and then get an idea that your application might take longer with the government if they need to request things from you, as happened in this case. Okay, so the more organized you can be in advance, the better prepared your documentation. The more organized you can be in getting certain things like police clearances and organizing medicals quickly after lodgement will all contribute to the processing time of an application. And I do talk about processing time factors in our Partner Visa Secrets training, which is exclusively available inside this Partner Visa Secrets Facebook group. So just people in this group get access to the modules. There's a link around this video to go and access the modules. Please take the time to watch the training. If you'd like the presentation slides of the training, just comment on the modules and we'll send you over the slides so that you have them in front of you whilst you're working through the content. As always, I hope that helps. For any couple that might be interested in working with our team to either coach them, so teach them how to prepare an application like this, we have our Visa software and coaching package, details of which are available on our website. Or, of course, we have our full representation for couples that might like the peace of mind of us handling the case from start to finish like these guys. So that's it from me, Martin, from Salva Migration and Visa. Have a great day. Bye-bye.